Casinos are, they're essentially these massive psychological traps.
Oh,
But the house always wins. The odds are completely stacked against you from the second you walk through those flashy doors. But you keep playing anyway because everything, I mean, the free drinks, the flashing lights, the total lack of clocks on the walls.
Right, no windows anywhere?
Exactly. It's all engineered to keep you at the table. And we willingly suspend our disbelief for the entertainment value, you know, because we know we're in a casino.
We opt into it.
Right. But what if you zoom out? What if that rigged zero-sum environment isn't just a building on a strip, but it's the actual metaphysical structure of the universe?
That is a terrifying thought.
It really is.
Yeah.
So today we're doing a deep dive into a stack of ancient sources. Specifically, we're centering around the Śiva Gītā.
Which is such a fascinating text.
It really is. It's this philosophically dense and frankly just staggering text that's embedded within the ancient Padma Purāṇa. And our mission today is to follow the emotional and metaphysical journey of Sri Rama. We're going to unpack how this ancient text guides a protagonist from absolute paralyzing grief over a lost loved one, all the way to this ultimate realization of cosmic detachment.
It's quite the journey.
It is. And we're going to find out how you basically beat the house when the casino is run by the gods themselves.
Yeah, and it's a remarkable journey to track because the text, I mean, it just doesn't hold back at all.
Not even a little bit.
No, it forces us to confront the loftiest non-dual philosophy, this idea that the universe is just a singular, undivided reality.
Right.
And it takes that lofty idea and just smashes it right into the gritty, painful reality of being a biological human being who's experiencing profound loss.
Yeah, and I want to start with the setup of this text because it doesn't actually open with our grieving hero.
No, it starts way bigger than that.
It really does. It starts with this massive, almost controversial revelation about why spiritual liberation is so incredibly difficult to achieve in the first place.
Right, the system itself.
Yeah. The text asserts that liberation, which is this ultimate freedom from the cycle of suffering, a state they call kaivalya, it says that only comes through direct knowledge. It explicitly states that it doesn't come from charity. It doesn't come from severe physical austerities. And, I mean, perhaps most shockingly for its time, it doesn't come from performing rituals.
Which you have to understand is a fundamental disruption of the prevailing culture of that entire era.
Because rituals were everything, right?
Exactly. The Vedic worldview was heavily structured around ritual action. You know, you perform the sacrifice, you appease the deities, you maintain the cosmic order, and you get rewarded.
A very clear transaction.
Very clear. But the Śiva Gītā comes out swinging. It basically argues that rituals are essentially a trap.
Wow.
And it goes into remarkable detail about why the ritual system even exists. It paints a picture of a cosmos that is heavily, well, transactional.
And this is where I started thinking about the casino analogy. Because the text claims the gods actively sabotage human enlightenment.
They do, yeah.
And I had to read that twice. Because we usually think of gods in these ancient texts as these benevolent guiding forces, right? Like they're trying to help humans reach salvation.
That's the standard PR, sure.
Right. So why would they actively throw obstacles in the way of someone who's trying to achieve liberation?
Well, because they have a vested economic interest in keeping you unenlightened.
It's wild to think about it in economic terms.
But that's what it is. The text introduces this fascinating concept regarding householders on Earth who perform daily rituals, particularly things like the Agnihotra fire sacrifice.
Okay.
It says, these humans act as kamadhenu, which translates to wish-fulfilling cows for the deities.
Wait. I need to make sure I'm visualizing this correctly. The humans are the cows.
Yes, the humans are the cows. It completely upends the traditional power dynamic.
I mean, usually humans pray to the gods, treating the divine as the wish-fulfilling entity, right? Like, give me a good harvest, give me a healthy child.
Right, exactly. But this text argues that the gods are entirely reliant on human rituals for their own sustenance, right, and for their luxury in heaven.
So they need us.
They desperately need us. The oblations that get poured into the sacred fire down on Earth, you know, the grains, the clarified butter, the specific energetic offerings, that is literally what feeds the gods. So humans are the livestock, and the gods are the farmers milking them.
That makes the gods sound like, I don't know, a greedy corporate middle management tier trying to protect their revenue stream.
That's exactly what they are in this framework.
Because if a human suddenly wakes up, realizes the rituals are just a superficial trap, and achieves true liberating knowledge,
the gods lose a major asset.
Yeah, they lose their food source.
The text explicitly states that when an enlightened human stops performing these transactional rituals, it causes the gods deep sorrow.
Deep sorrow, like losing a paying customer.
Yes. So they are highly incentivized to stop that from happening. When they see a mortal starting to make real spiritual progress, starting to detach from worldly desires and moving toward ultimate liberation,
they panic.
They panic. The gods enter the sensory realm and actively throw distractions at them.
Like what kind of distractions?
They manufacture temptations. Sensory pleasures, worldly anxieties, maybe even minor psychic powers, just anything to ensure that true devotion doesn't take root.
I am trying to think of a modern equivalent, and it feels exactly like trying to cancel a lucrative subscription service.
Oh, that's perfect.
You know, you finally decide you don't need this app anymore, you go to hit cancel, and suddenly the company's throwing everything at you.
Are you sure you want to leave?
Yeah, are you sure? Here's a free month.
What about these 3 new features? The gods are literally the ultimate customer retention department.
They really are.
They are flooding your inbox with sensory distractions to stop you from canceling your ritual subscription. That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it. The cosmic bureaucracy is fundamentally opposed to your freedom.
It's so cynical.
It is. And because of this divine sabotage, the text notes that true, unwavering devotion to the ultimate liberating force, which in this text is Shiva, is incredibly rare.
I bet.
The sages who are listening to this explanation in the story, they actually voice the exact frustration a reader would feel.
What do they say?
They ask, if the deities are constantly actively sabotaging us, what chance does human effort even have?
Which is a completely fair question. I mean, if the house is cheating, how do you ever cash out?
Well, the mechanism the text offers is the accumulation of immense spiritual merit over millions of lifetimes.
Millions, so no quick fixes.
No, it's not something you achieve through a weekend retreat. You have to build up such a staggering, unquantifiable amount of merit that you develop a resolve that is entirely unshakable.
Okay, and then what happens?
The text says that when a human finally reaches that critical mass of unwavering devotion, the lords of the gods actually become terrified.
Oh, the tables turn.
Exactly. They realize their distractions are useless, they abandon their obstacles, and they just flee.
They realize the customer is definitely canceling, the retention script failed, and they just hang up the phone.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a very cynical yet practical way to frame the difficulty of the spiritual path. I feel like it removes a lot of the personal guilt.
How so?
Well, it's not just that your own mind is weak or easily distracted, you know? The entire architecture of the universe is designed to keep you asleep.
Which brings us perfectly to the actual narrative of our protagonist, Rama.
Right.
Because if anyone theoretically possesses that unshakable, millions of lifetimes level of spiritual merit, it is Shiva Rama, who's understood to be a divine incarnation himself.
A literal avatar.
Right. And yet, the Śiva Gītā introduces him at a point where he is failing entirely.
He is a total mess.
Completely ensnared by the exact emotional and sensory attachments the gods use to bind mortals.
Let's set the scene for where we are actually meeting Rama here. We're dropping into a very specific, highly vulnerable moment in the broader Ramayana epic.
Right, the middle of the exile.
Yeah, Rama is in exile in the dense, dangerous Dhatuka forest. His wife, Sita, has just been abducted by the demon king Ravan.
A catastrophic loss.
And the Rama we meet here is not a stoic, serene, enlightened warrior. He is shattered.
Utterly broken.
He is starving himself. He is wandering aimlessly. He's openly suicidal. And he is entirely consumed by this agonizing grief.
He is experiencing the absolute apex of Maya, or cosmic illusion.
Okay.
He has fully identified his existence with his localized ego and his temporary physical circumstances. And it is at this absolute lowest point of despair that the revered sage Agastya arrives to counsel him.
And Agastya does not arrive with, a warm blanket and a cup of tea.
No, not at all.
He delivers what might be the most brutal reality check in ancient literature.
He really does.
He basically looks at this weeping, suicidal hero and asks, "Why are you crying? Who truly belongs to whom?"
Agastya aggressively deconstructs the physical reality of the woman. Rama is mourning.
It's so intense.
He tells Rama that physical beauty, whether a woman has skin that glows like molten gold, or eyes like blue lotuses, or lips like a red fruit, it's a complete illusion.
Just meat and bones.
Exactly. Agastya reduces the human form to its absolute clinical baseline. He calls the body an insentient lump of impurity made solely of the 5 elements.
You're earth, water, fire, air, and space.
Yes.
It is incredibly harsh. But I want to dig into how Agastya does this, because he's not just insulting Sita, he's trying to break a psychological mechanism in Rama.
That's right.
Agastya says, look at the body. By itself, it sees nothing, it hears nothing, it smells nothing, it's just a collection of matter.
Right, biological machinery.
If a body is burned on a funeral pyre, or if it is left in the forest and eaten by wild animals, the body itself doesn't feel anything.
It has no intrinsic awareness.
So he asks Rama, why are you tearing your own soul apart, grieving for a lump of elements?
The philosophical intent here is to force a wedge between the physical form and the true self, the Atman.
Okay.
Agastya is contrasting this decaying, inert biological machine with the Atman, which he describes as taintless, immortal, and the pure embodiment of existence and consciousness.
He uses an analogy for this, right? The sun.
Yes, the analogy of the sun. The sun shines down and illuminates everything in the world.
Right.
But if the sun happens to shine upon a pile of garbage, or if the person looking up at the sun has a cataract or a defect in their eye...
the sun isn't affected.
Exactly. The sun itself remains completely unaffected by the garbage or the defective vision.
I follow that, but the second analogy Agastya uses actually clicked a bit better for me personally.
The burning house.
Yeah, the burning house. He talks about a burning house. Yeah. If you build a row of houses, the space inside them feels partitioned. Right?
Sure, you have rooms.
You have the space in the bedroom, the space in the kitchen, the space in the neighbor's house. It feels like there are all these separate little pockets of space. But if those houses burn to the ground, the fire doesn't burn the space itself.
No, space can't burn.
The space remains perfectly intact, whole, and undivided. The walls just fell down.
Exactly. Agastya is telling Rama, you are the space. Sita is the space. The physical bodies, the personalities, the roles of husband and wife, those are just the temporary houses.
Oh, wow.
The tragedy that has befallen Sita's physical situation hasn't actually touched her true self, nor has it touched yours.
Philosophically, I mean, it is an airtight presentation of non-dual Vedanta.
It really is.
But here's what I love about this text. Rama listens to this flawless philosophical argument, and he essentially says, I understand you intellectually, but my heart is still bleeding.
Yes, the text is incredibly psychologically astute here.
Yeah.
It completely acknowledges cognitive dissonance.
Knowing a metaphysical truth intellectually does not automatically rewire your central nervous system, right? Or erase emotional suffering.
No, it doesn't. Rama brings up two specific things that are blocking him. He blames his wounded ego, and he blames something called his operative karma, or prarabdha karma.
Right, and he compares these forces to intoxicating wine, which I found fascinating.
It's a great metaphor.
He says, look, you can have a highly educated, perfectly rational scholar, but if you pump him full of strong wine, his intellect is entirely overpowered by the physical substance.
Logic goes out the window.
Yeah. Rama is saying his grief and his destiny are like that wine. They are overpowering his logic. He is demanding a practical solution to kill his enemy, Ravana, not just a philosophical lecture on the immortality of the soul.
This is a crucial pivot in the text. Rama is trapped in his localized identity. He's identifying with the 6 internal enemies that Vedic philosophy outlines.
Desire, anger, greed, pride, envy, and delusion.
Precisely. He feels the sting of his wife being taken, the insult to his pride as a warrior.
It makes me think of virtual reality.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Imagine you strap a hyper-realistic VR headset onto your face, and you are dropped into this terrifying horror game.
Yeah.
You, the true self, know intellectually that you are standing safely in your living room. You know the zombies aren't real.
Right.
But your heart rate still spikes to like 150 beats per minute, your palms sweat, and you might even scream out loud.
Because your body believes it?
Exactly. Because your localized consciousness, your ego, is completely and utterly immersed in the illusion.
That is a phenomenal way to frame Maya.
Rama knows on some level that the VR game of life isn't base reality, but he is trapped in the horror level. The monsters have taken his wife, and he is basically begging Agastya for the cheat code to beat the boss.
The physical reactions to a false reality are completely real to the person experiencing them.
Yeah.
And Agastya recognizes that philosophy alone cannot pull a Rama out of the simulation. The ego is too entrenched.
So what does he do?
So Agastya pivots from pure philosophy to intense active practice. He gives Rama a ritualistic cheat code to gain the ultimate weapon.
Okay, here we go.
He initiates him into a severe 4-month spiritual discipline called the Virajadika.
This sounds grueling. Agastya tells Rama he has to smear himself in sacred ash, wear specific beads, sit on a tiger skin on a mountain, and chant the 1,000 names of Shiva.
And the fasting protocol is extreme.
Unbelievably extreme. Month 1, he survives on fruits. Month 2, dry leaves. Month 3, only water. By the 4th month, Rama is existing on air alone.
Just air.
What is the mechanism here? Why does he have to practically starve himself to death to get this weapon?
It is a deliberate process of sensory deprivation and physiological dismantling.
Trying to sober him up from the wine.
Exactly. Rama's problem was that his ego and his physical attachments were acting like intoxicating wine, clouding his intellect.
Right.
The Viraja is designed to sober him up by literally starving the physical vessel and cutting off all sensory input. It weakens the ego's grip on the consciousness, creating a void that can only be filled by the divine.
And it works.
It does. After 4 months of this extreme austerity, the text describes a massive cosmic event.
It starts with a sound that terrifies Rama. The text compares it to the churning of the cosmic ocean or the thunderclouds of universal dissolution.
Just an overwhelming auditory overload.
And then this blazing mass of light appears. It is so intensely bright that Rama becomes completely disoriented. He can't even perceive the directions.
And his reaction to this divine manifestation is fascinating.
He doesn't bow down in awe.
No.
He panics.
His warrior conditioning completely overrides everything else.
Right. He assumes it's a deceptive trick by the demons, so he grabs his bow and just unloads his entire supernatural arsenal into this divine light.
He throws everything he has.
He fires the fiery weapon, the watery weapon, the wind weapon, even the ultimate weapons of Vishnu and Brahma. He is throwing the most destructive forces in the universe at this manifestation.
And this is where the text delivers a profound lesson about the futility of human agency in the face of the absolute.
Because they do nothing.
Nothing. All of these supreme, reality-bending weapons hit the blinding light, and the text says they dissolve like hailstones falling into the ocean.
The hailstones into the ocean imagery is so striking because it emphasizes scale.
Right.
You know, a hailstone is frozen water, it has form, it has impact, can do damage. But when it hits the infinite ocean, it doesn't just fail to damage the ocean, it instantly loses its individual identity.
It melts back into the source.
Exactly. That is what is happening to Rama's ego and his sense of control. Even his legendary bow catches fire and slips out of his hands.
His brother, who is with him, literally passes out from sheer terror.
Rama is completely disarmed, forced to his knees, eyes squeezed shut, just screaming the names of Shiva in absolute surrender.
It is a total breaking of the ego.
Finally.
And the moment Rama abandons his reliance on his own agency and truly surrenders, the nature of the vision changes.
It calms down.
Yes. The terrifying, hostile, blazing fire instantly transforms into a soothing, cool radiance, described as the light of millions of moons.
Oh.
And when Rama is finally able to open his eyes, the abstract light has coalesced into the personalized form of Lord Shiva.
And it's a highly specific, majestic vision.
Very traditional iconography.
Shiva is seated on his bull Nandi. He's wearing the tiger skin, the crescent moon in his hair, holding the trident. He is surrounded by a massive cosmic assembly, the goddess, other deities, sages, even singing serpent kings.
It's quite the tableau.
And Shiva is pleased by the intensity of Rama's devotion, and he grants him exactly what he was asking for, right? The ultimate weapon, the Pashupatastra.
Yes, but Shiva attaches a massive warning to it and drops a philosophical bombshell that completely changes how Rama views his entire mission.
So what's the warning first?
The Pashupatastra is described as a weapon capable of unmaking the universe. Shiva warns Rama that it must only be used in absolute mortal peril, never casually, and never against a lesser or fleeing enemy.
Okay, that makes sense for a universe-ending weapon, but what's the bombshell?
The real revelation comes immediately after handing over the weapon. Shiva tells Rama not to stress over the logistics of killing Ravan.
Because Shiva says Ravan is already dead.
Yes. From the localized perspective of a human trapped in time, the battle hasn't happened yet.
Right.
But Shiva speaks from the perspective of cosmic eternity. He tells Rama, I alone am the ultimate death. All these demons have already entered my open jaws.
Wow.
Shiva explains that Razanta's lifespan is already exhausted by the sheer weight of his own sins and his disruption of the cosmic order. The universe has already corrected the imbalance on a metaphysical level.
The outcome is predetermined by Dharma.
Exactly.
So why does Rama even need to go fight? If the universe has already killed Rama, why did Rama just spend 4 months starving on a mountain to get a weapon?
Shiva gives Rama a very specific instruction. Be merely an instrument. The Sanskrit concept here is nimitta matram.
Being an instrument, I'm trying to put myself in Rama's shoes here.
Yeah, think about his state of mind.
He went into this fast, fueled by personal vendetta, wounded pride, and desperate grief. He wanted the power to destroy the guy who ruined his life.
He wanted revenge.
Right. And God hands him the ultimate gun, but then whispers, the bullet is already in the target. You are just a prop in the play.
Yeah.
Does that provide relief, or is it existentially horrifying to realize you have no real agency?
Well, for the ego, it is horrifying.
Right.
The ego demands to be the author of the victory.
It wants the credit.
Absolutely. But for the soul, it is the ultimate relief. It completely lifts the burden of personal vendetta.
Oh, I see.
When you realize that the ultimate outcome of the battle is held by a higher, infallible cosmic power, the frantic, grief-stricken anxiety evaporates. The battle isn't about Rama's personal pain anymore.
It's about playing his part.
Exactly. It's about him performing his designated duty on the physical stage to reflect a reality that has already occurred on the spiritual plane.
But this revelation deeply confuses Rama, and honestly, it is confusing.
That's a lot to take in.
He is looking at Shiva, who is sitting right in front of him. Shiva has a face, he has arms, he's sitting on a bull, he is taking up physical space on a mountain.
He's localized.
Yeah. So how can this localized being, sitting in a specific geographic location, claim to be the infinite universe that is swallowing demons across time and space?
It's a valid question.
Rama essentially asks, how can you be the creator, the sustainer, and the destroyer of everything when you are sitting right here?
It is the ultimate paradox of the divine in many Eastern traditions.
Yeah.
How can the absolute, infinite, formless reality possess a personality or a specific form?
And how does Shiva answer that?
Shiva answers this by explaining his divine manifestations, a concept known as Vibhuti Yoga.
Okay.
He tells Rama that he's the essence of everything. He's the sacred texts. He is the foundational syllable OM. He's the beginning, the middle, and the end. He is subtler than the subtlest subatomic particle and infinitely greater than the greatest galaxy.
To explain how the entire infinite universe can fit inside something with boundaries, Shiva uses two grounded analogies that really helped clarify the mechanics of this for me.
The sea and the salt.
Exactly. First, he uses a banyan seed. A banyan tree is massive, sprawling, it takes up huge amounts of space.
They're enormous trees.
But if you hold a tiny banyan seed in your hand, you can barely see it. Yet, intrinsically, that entire massive tree exists within that tiny seed.
The potential and the blueprint of the macrocosm are entirely contained within the microcosm.
Right. And the second analogy Shiva uses is rock salt dissolving in water.
Another great one.
If you take a large lump of salt and drop it into a bucket of water, it completely vanishes from sight. You cannot locate the salt anywhere.
It's invisible.
But if you take a drop of water from the top, the middle, or the bottom of that bucket and taste it, the salt is entirely present. It pervades the whole thing invisibly.
Yes. Shiva is saying, the universe emerges from me, abides in me, and dissolves into me, just like the tree in the seed or the salt in the water.
Rama hears all this, but he admits he's still struggling to conceptualize it. It's one thing to hear the seed analogy, it's another to internalize that the universe is just salt water.
Right, it's too abstract.
Rama says his mind is spinning like a traveler who has lost his sense of direction, so Shiva realizes that words are no longer sufficient.
You have to show him.
He decides to grant Rama divine vision so he can actually literally see the universal form, the Vijvarupa.
And this transition in the text is phenomenal. We move from calm philosophical dialogue into an overwhelming display of cosmic awe and sheer terror.
Shiva opens his cosmic mouth, and the text doesn't describe it as a normal mouth. It describes it as deep and fathomless as the netherworld, completely blazing with millions of lightning flashes.
Just terrifying scale.
And when Rama looks inside this bottomless electric abyss, what does he actually see?
He sees millions of universes. In the cosmology of the text, these are referred to as cosmic eggs, or Brahmajis.
Millions of universes. And the specific imagery used here is staggering. The text says these millions of universes look like tiny sparrows fluttering in wreaths of fire.
Just think about the scale of that imagery.
Entire universes, with their own galaxies, stars, and planets, reduced to tiny, helpless birds caught in an infinite inferno inside the mouth of the divine.
It is designed to completely shatter the human perspective. Inside that mouth, Rama sees the great mountains, the seven oceans, the suns, the moons.
He sees everything.
He sees all the lesser gods. He sees every battle that has happened in the past and every battle that will happen in the future. Everything that is being born and everything that is being destroyed is happening simultaneously within this one infinite expanse.
It is like violently zooming out on a cosmic map. You don't just pull back to see the Earth or the solar system. You pull back so fast and so far that you see the entire multiverse.
Yeah.
And in that moment of infinite perspective, you realize that your entire life, your grief, your missing wife, the war you have to fight, it is infinitesimally insignificant.
Less than a speck of dust.
And yet, simultaneously, you realize you are intimately, fundamentally connected to the roaring fire that sustains it all.
That paradox is what breaks Rama's delusion. The sheer scale is terrifying. The text says Rama literally drops to his knees, filled with awe and paralyzing fear.
Which is a totally irrational response.
Oh, absolutely. But it is through that ego-crushing terror that the direct knowledge of ultimate reality finally dawns on him. He finally grasps the central tenet of Advaita, or non-dualism.
The text mentions the snake and the rope philosophy here, which is famous, but I want to make sure I really understand how it applies to Rama's specific grief. Can you walk me through the mechanics of that analogy?
Sure. Imagine you are walking down a path at dusk. The light is very dim. You look down and see what appears to be a coiled, venomous snake.
Okay, instant panic.
Right. Instantly, your body reacts. Your heart rate spikes, adrenaline floods your system, you feel genuine terror, and you might jump back or run away.
Fight or flight.
Exactly. Your physiological and emotional reaction to the snake is 100% real. But then a friend comes along with a lantern and shines a light on the path. You realize there's never a snake. It was just a coiled piece of rope lying in the dirt.
So the snake never existed at all. It wasn't born, it didn't crawl there, and it didn't die when the light turned on.
Precisely. Your mind, influenced by the darkness, which represents ignorance or avidya, superimposed the terrifying image of a snake onto the neutral raw material of the rope.
I see.
Rama realizes, looking into the cosmic mouth, that the universe, with all its multiplicity, its separate identities, its joys, and its agonizing griefs, is the snake.
And Shiva is the rope.
Yes. The universe does not actually exist as a separate, independent entity from the divine. It is a superimposition created by spiritual ignorance.
Wow.
When the light of the divine vision is turned on, Rama sees that only the rope, only Shiva, truly exists.
Rama actually says, through delusion, people perceive all this multiplicity, just as silver is imagined in mother of pearl or a serpent in a piece of rope.
He gets it.
He realizes that his agonizing grief over Sita, his burning anger at Ravana, it's all part of the VR simulation. He was reacting to the snake.
His tears were real, but the structure of his reality was false.
When he asks Shiva to withdraw the terrifying cosmic vision, Shiva does, and leaves him with one final absolute statement. He says, "Behold, O mighty armed Rama, there is no other entity whatsoever apart from me."
It is the ultimate perspective shift. Rama has seen the macrocosm. He has seen the infinite scale of the universe and realized his ego is nothing. His grief is contextualized.
But this raises a practical question for me. It's one thing to have a mind-blowing cosmic vision on a mountaintop.
Sure.
But Rama still has to go back down the mountain. He still has to inhabit a physical body that gets hungry, that feels pain, that is driven by hormones and biology.
The physical reality remains.
Yeah. How do you sustain that lofty cosmic detachment when you are trapped in a meat suit?
That is the genius of the Śiva Gītā. It doesn't stop at the macrocosm. To truly solidify Rama's detachment, to completely sever the root of his attachment to physical desires, Shiva takes him in the exact opposite direction.
He goes micro.
He forces Rama to look at the microcosm.
Right, we just zoomed all the way out to the multiverse. Now we are going to zoom all the way into the gritty, brutal, inescapable biological reality of human existence.
Shiva delivers a highly detailed, staggeringly pessimistic lecture on embryology and the human life cycle.
It's intense.
The philosophical goal here is not to depress Rama, but to induce a state called vairagya, which means dispassion or deep detachment from worldly things.
And he holds absolutely nothing back. It is honestly tough to read. He wants to show Rama the raw, grotesque reality of what being a biological organism actually entails.
Shiva categorizes the 4 types of physical bodies: those born of wombs, eggs, moisture, and seeds. He zeroes in on the human womb-born body because that is where Rama's attachments lie. He goes month by month through fetal development. And it sounds remarkably empirical for an ancient text.
How so?
Well, month 1 is fluid, month 2 is a viscous mass.
Just basic biology.
Right. By month 4, the fetus develops consciousness, and the text describes the mother experiencing having 2 hearts. The Dadini phase, where the fetus transmits its cravings to the mother.
But it doesn't stay empirical for long. It takes a sharp, horrifying turn into existential dread around the 7th month.
Yes, it really does.
This is the part of the text that absolutely stopped me in my tracks. It says that in the 7th month, the fetus is fully physically developed, but it's crammed inside the womb. And suddenly, the soul's memory of all its past lives awakens. It remembers everything.
It gains total cosmic context while trapped in a biological cage.
Just sitting there in the dark.
The fetus becomes acutely aware of its environment, and Shiva does not describe the womb as a warm, nurturing haven. He describes it as a foul, acidic torture chamber.
The imagery used to break the ego here is extreme. The fetus, remembering the tortures of past lives and various hells, concludes that being in the womb is actually worse.
It's actively suffering.
It says the womb is worse than the boiling Kumpapaka hell. It describes being scorched by the acidic bile of the mother's gastric fire. It feels squeezed and crushed by the mother's saw-like ribs.
Just horrific body horror.
It talks about being bitten by abdominal worms that have mouths like jagged thorns.
It is the absolute antithesis of the romanticized, miraculous view of pregnancy. The fetus is literally lamenting its existence. It feels like a worm trapped in filth, forced to consume the mother's bodily fluids.
Oh, man.
The soul in the womb, suffering this immense biological agony, desperately resolves to seek spiritual liberation the moment it is born, so it never has to endure the cycle of reincarnation again.
But then comes the actual birth.
The traumatic exit.
The text describes it as being pushed through a bone machine. The baby emerges headfirst in severe agony, smeared in blood and fat, crying loudly. And what happens to all those profound spiritual realizations and vows it made in the 7th month?
They are completely obliterated.
It's just gone.
The sheer physical trauma of the birth process wipes the soul's memory clean. The infant is born helpless, its vocal cords blocked, unable to articulate its cosmic pain.
It's so sad.
It forgets its past lives, it forgets its resolve for liberation, and is thrust instantly back into the illusion of Maya.
It is incredibly tragic. You have it all figured out, and then the trauma of birth forces you to forget the punchline of the universe.
Right.
And Shiva doesn't let up there. He tracks this amnesiac soul as it grows up. Youth isn't portrayed as a time of joy and discovery. It's a time of being blinded by hormones. The young man is arrogant, driven crazy by the fever of passion, acting erratically.
The text graphically deconstructs physical intimacy here, much like Agastya did earlier,
reducing it to parts.
It reduces the object of lust to just bones, veins, and flesh. It asks, repeatedly, what else is a physical form other than decaying matter?
And it ends with the miseries of old age and death. The body rots, the old man is congested, his teeth fall out, his senses fail. He is mocked by younger people, but he still pathetically craves the sensory pleasures he can no longer enjoy.
The ego still clings on.
Finally, he is dragged away by death, crying out for his wealth and family, and the text uses this chilling simile. He is dragged away helpless, like a frog being swallowed by a snake.
So we have to ask the critical question, why put Rama through this?
Right.
Why force someone who is already grieving to meditate on such gruesome, pessimistic details?
Because if you are constantly chasing the illusion of physical permanence, you will always lose.
Exactly.
If you think the body is the source of ultimate happiness, you are setting yourself up for perpetual terror, because the body is guaranteed to decay and die.
The mechanism of vairagya relies on shattering the illusion of glamour. By forcing Rama to look at the raw biological reality, that birth is traumatic, that youth is a hormonal delusion, that the body is just elements and death is inevitable.
It destroys the attachment.
It destroys his ego's attachment to it. If you deeply internalize this, you stop clinging to your own body. You stop hating your enemies, because Rama is just a decaying bag of bones, too.
Right, everyone is in the same boat.
You stop being consumed by physical desires because you see the machinery behind them. You shift your identity permanently away from the temporary meat suit and back to the eternal, taintless self.
It is the ultimate psychological hard reset. We started this journey with the Śiva Gītā showing us a cosmic casino where the gods act as saboteurs to keep us hooked on rituals.
The grand illusion.
Then it provided this ego-shattering, terrifying vision of the multiverse, millions of universes like tiny sparrows in the fire of Shiva's mouth.
A macrocosm.
And finally, it grounded us in the visceral, inescapable horror of our own biology.
And it all serves one incredibly cohesive purpose. As the text concludes, whoever manages to see all beings within the divine, and the divine within all beings, never shrinks away from anything in revulsion or hatred.
When we feel completely overwhelmed by our personal tragedies, we naturally get hyper-focused on our own pain. We zoom all the way in on our localized ego.
It's human nature.
But this text teaches us a radical methodology for healing. If we force our minds to zoom all the way out to the infinite cosmic scale and then forcefully zoom all the way into the harsh biological mechanics of our own bodies, we can break the ego's grip.
We realize the snake was just a rope.
We stop suffering over the illusion. I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over, building on that intensely vivid embryology section.
Oh, the 7th month realization.
Yeah. The text tells us that in the 7th month, a fetus remembers all of its past lives, it understands the grand cosmic cycle, and it desperately resolves to seek liberation. But the sheer physical trauma of being born into this physical world completely erases that cosmic memory.
It wipes it all away.
It wipes the slate clean, leaving us helpless, ignorant, and distracted. So if the shock of simply entering this physical world is enough to violently erase our deepest cosmic memories, what other universal truths, what other profound metaphysical realities have we simply forgotten because we are too busy being distracted by the daily pain, the fleeting pleasures, and the flashing lights of surviving today?
That's a profound question.
If the universe really is a rigged casino, maybe it's time we stop staring at the slot machines and try to remember what we knew before we walked through the doors.